Starting a physical therapy practice or business is not expensive. It's not expensive if your goal is to help thousands or millions of people. It's not expensive if you know what's possible for you. Hey, what's up? My name's LeBauer. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notifications bell, those little buttons. If you're watching this on iTunes, please share this out with your friends or leave us a review. But what I'd really love to know from you is what questions you have and what your big takeaways are from this episode. So don't hesitate to leave comments, tag me, and let me know what your number one insights are. So today on the episode, what we're going to talk about, why expensive is a state of mind. Haven't you ever thought of something like, oh, that's expensive. Well, PT school's expensive. Oh, the iPhone's expensive. The coaching program's expensive. A $10 hamburger, that's expensive. Expensive is a state of mind, and it's also relative. It's relative to the result. And I believe in physical therapy, our idea of what is expensive or what's affordable has been skewed by insurance companies. It's been skewed by the way that we are compensated for our time rather than for our results that we get people. It's been skewed by the fact that insurance companies are only going to pay $30 or $38 no matter what we do. We actually got I own a cash practice. Our patients pay in full at time of service. And I got an email the other day from Multiplan trying to negotiate our rate for an evaluation. And instead of the $250, they were like, well, we'll pay you $37. And I told one of my team members, and she laughed. She's like, that's not even enough money to pay a good physical therapist. I was like, I know. So just imagine, like, if we were accepting the 37, how many people do I have to see an hour to actually pay good physical therapists? I got to see at least 2, maybe more, because I got to pay someone, plus I got the overhead, plus the marketing costs, and plus all the other taxes and expenses. Expensive is a state of mind, especially when starting a business. What you really need to think about is investing. So if you're going, well, man, Aaron, PT school was expensive. Yeah, it was, especially if you don't work as a physical therapist. Yeah, it was, especially if you've accepted a job for $55,000, $65,000, and you don't have a side hustle, or you don't have a long-term plan, or that job isn't giving you something long-term. Like there's not like a long-term, like an IRA match or something where long-term I'm getting more out of this. Or maybe that job, isn't giving you any time off, and you're doing documentation on the weekend, which I've never done. Expensive is a state of mind. A lot of people say, oh, Aaron, I can't afford that. I can't afford the coaching or whatever. I'm like, well, that's why we have credit cards. And they're like, oh, well, I would never put anything on a credit card. I want to grow my business debt-free. Okay, cool. I get that. Maybe in the past, you've had bad experiences with credit cards. Probably because you haven't used them to invest in your business or yourself. You've used them to buy things that depreciate over time, or after a while, they suck, and you're still left paying for them. Like, I don't know, a couch. I know this is like, hey, I really need that $1,000 couch to fill up my brand new apartment now that I have a job. Okay, well, after, I'm on the payment plan, and after 6 months, the couch has a hole in it or a stain, or maybe it's the car. As soon as you drive it off the lot, it loses 10 or 20% of its value. After 3 years, you're still paying $300, $400 a month. To buy the car off the lease costs more than a used car does. I mean, in 2021 with car prices, used car prices are really high, so it might not be happening now, but maybe you've had this experience in the past where you've bought something that didn't add value to your life, it added status to your life. Maybe it added nothing to your life and you paid a lot for it, and you're still paying it down on credit cards later because you didn't learn how to, maybe manage your money, but really, how do I live just below my means and not buy things that are going to keep me under, and spend money, right? I'm going to spend money on things that I know are going to give me a big return later, so I can create systems that generate revenue ongoing, and I use this ongoing revenue to buy the things that I want rather than keep me from investing in the things that I need. Okay, so if I want to race bicycles, I need a good bike, but primarily what I need to do is train, and I need a coach to train me, because it doesn't matter how light my bike is or whether I have carbon wheels or aluminum wheels. If I show up to the race and I'm not ready for the race, my nutrition is off, my pre-race plan is off, and I actually haven't been training, who cares how light my bike is? Same thing, I can't show up to do business and just know, hey, I'm arbitrarily 5 years as a physical therapist and now I'm qualified to open a business. Like, there are people that are doing that and they're building businesses, and their cost to run their business is higher than their average collections, and they're losing money, and they're coming to me and saying, Aaron, help. Like, I'm about to go out of business. I think I want to shift to cash, but, and I'm like, maybe you don't need to. We just need to get some of these costs under control and add some cash, like wellness services to your business, different mindset. So maybe you've had these bad experiences and you're like, putting something on my credit card would be a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. Maybe the people I'm hearing it from are just saying that to me as an excuse instead of saying no, and they don't want to be mean and they don't want to say no. But really what I think is, I've heard this so much that we think that using our credit cards is bad. We think that things that might help us are expensive. And one of the things that I imagine it is because I don't know that I can actually make six figures as a physical therapist, because I've never been shown that. I was told by one of my early mentors, Aaron, you've got a six-figure business. And I was like, no, I don't. No way. Well, John was right. I do. And I have more than that, actually. So, but the point is I didn't have the belief until I had someone else tell it to me multiple times. And as a physical therapist getting out of PT school, you've got six figures in debt, but your first job is likely not over six figures unless maybe you work in home health and you work a lot extra, or maybe you're in outpatient orthopedics and you are all of a sudden, as a new grad, a clinic manager, because all the people who are 10 years out are like, hell no, I don't want that job, because that means I'm working time and a half and only making an extra couple $1,000s a year. And you've put a lot of things on your credit card and you're afraid, or maybe you've been listening to Dave Ramsey and he's telling you, eat ramen noodles and pay off your student loans as fast as possible. And I'm going to say that might be good advice for someone who just wants a job. But if your goal is to run a business, your goal is to help thousands of people, even millions of people, or hundreds of millions of people, don't listen to Dave Ramsey about how to pay down your student loans. Because if you're getting out of school and you have a big dream and you want to help a lot of people, your student loans, those are good debt. Because the knowledge that you learned is not going to depreciate. The information, the DR period in front of your name that you paid for, the information that you gathered from that education, it's not going away and it's not going to depreciate. The only depreciation of your education as a physical therapist is if you stop working as a physical therapist, if you stop helping people. And I'm not saying stop treating people. If you stop working in our industry, if you go and say, hey, look, I'm going to just sell real estate because physical therapy profession isn't doing it for me anymore after 5 years. Okay, like you're no longer using your knowledge as a physical therapist, you're selling real estate. I know people who've done that. I know people who've gone into medical sales, and so, their degree and their title still kind of helps, but, it's like you're letting that depreciate when all it has to do is that investment will keep appreciate. So the 100, 150,000, even if you only have 70,000 left, like we don't need to rush to pay that off if your plan is to open a business. Okay, investing in the stock market is great. So maybe if we looked at the last 30 years, you could get like an 8% return. Awesome. But what if you put in, let's say, $100,000 in your business? Could you get $1 million out of it in the next few years? Yeah, so you can 10x your 100,000 and turn it into $1 million. Okay, I'm not even saying you have to spend 100,000. Let's say you spent $10,000. Could you get $100,000 a year for the next 10 years? Absolutely. But if I put $10,000 in the stock market right now, I'm going to earn, there's no, what's it called? There's no guarantee that I'm going to earn it, but I'm going to earn an 8%. So next year I'll have $800 extra dollars. And then next year I'll have $800 extra dollars plus the 8% of the extra 800. And so it's going up like percentage points rather than doubling or 10xing. So I can add some percentages to my income by putting it into an IRA or the stocks or, crypto and meme stocks might be a little different, but that's an exception to the rule. That's kind of like playing around and, hoping like this money does well, and it is doing well for some people. But I'm talking about like traditional stock market investing or investing in real estate. Your home price isn't going to double in a few years, except for like very small amount of homes. Most homes will not do that. Maybe some places in California now during the pandemic, like they've gone up. But in general, over time, investing in a house is not going to double your investment. You put in $100,000 into a $300,000 house and you pay monthly, $1,500. A few years later, maybe your house is worth an extra $100,000. But that doesn't mean you now have double. It depends on how much you can sell it for and what your expenses are for selling it and how much principal you had. But if I put that $10,000 or even $50,000 into my business, I know that with the right education and accountability and business coach, that if I invest $50,000, I know if I take action on it, that I'm going to get more than that back. I'm going to get double, if not triple or 10x that back, which is what's happened to me and what's happened to the people that I've been working with and learning from and the people I've been coaching. So my point here is that the best investment that you can make is in you. And expensive is a state of mind, because it's not expensive if you know you're going to take what someone shows you and tells you and take action on it and put it into play and never give up until you get it right. Expensive is when you invest in coaching and they suggest you do something and you go, no, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to try something different. And it doesn't work. That's expensive. Expensive when someone gives you an idea and you don't take action on it, or it doesn't work the first time and you quit. So the difference between investing and expenses are, investments are things that you spend money on, whether you put in a credit card, you take out a loan, you spend cash on it, knowing that you're going to get a positive return. I know that if I invest in a team member, an employee, that I'm going to get time and money back. I'm going to get a positive return on my investment. I know that if I invest in coaching, and I take action, I'm going to get a positive return on my investment. I know that if I invest in Facebook ads, I know I'm going to get a positive return on my investment if I have an offer that already works and I'm willing to leverage my time and to have someone else do it for me and play with the different offers. What's expensive is buying stuff and never using it. What's expensive is buying something that you think is great that adds very little value. I would say some of the things that add little value that are really expensive is, what are those like indoor treadmills, the body weight treadmills? Can't remember what they are, but they cost tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've had clients before that were stuck in like long-term leases they couldn't get out of. They were paying $2,000 a month, and they were basically sold on the fact that injured runners are going to come use it and rent it from you. And so, yeah, that kind of happened, but it didn't actually bring in more people. It wasn't the thing. It was the thing we thought was great, but it didn't actually add value because the clients didn't value that. Okay. A car is expensive. Do you need a car? Maybe. Do you need like a fancy car? No. You need a thing that gets you from point A to point B. But if you want a fancy, nice car, find an investment, find a system, find some recurring revenue that you can generate, or don't just find it, go build it, and then use the profit from that to buy the fancy thing. Now, the fancy thing is expensive, but you've built something that creates an ROI that pays for it. So it's essentially, you're using someone else's money to buy you nice stuff. But you're not using their money. You are actually adding value to their life in exchange for currency. And in currency, allows you to do cool things like buy a cool car, go on a great vacation, go to Disney, donate money to a cause you believe in. But if you're stuck in I can't use credit card debt to get the education or pay for the software that's going to allow me to have more time and help more people, even while I'm sleeping, then you're in the wrong state of mind. You're looking at this the wrong way. People say to me, Aaron, I could never use ClickFunnels. It's $97 a month. I'm like, okay, but I have the $297 a month plan, and ClickFunnels makes me hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So why is $97 expensive? Well, maybe it's expensive because they don't believe that anyone wants to buy their product. Okay. Maybe it's expensive because they've been told that you shouldn't pay $97 for something that you can't touch or you don't know how to use. I'm not exactly sure. It's probably more of a belief that I'm successful. So that's why in my program, Income Impact Academy, we help people, or the whole beginning of that program is teaching you how to sell your product before you go and create it. Because I don't want you building out an amazing course, an amazing online course, and spending a bunch of money on camera equipment and editing and all that stuff before you've even sold it. We should sell it and use the proceeds to make it even better. Sell it before you create it. Okay, with physical therapy, we know physical therapy is something people want, but is just physical therapy something they'd pay cash for when they could go down the street and pay $50 or $75 for it? Maybe if you're charging $75, they probably still go, oh, but you don't take insurance. And you're like, yeah, but it's still only $75. And then they might go, oh yeah. And then you're just stuck going, okay, well, I'm only charging $75. How do I afford X, Y, and Z? Because you're not charging enough. And it's not unethical to charge more. You just haven't ever been shown what the clinics are actually charging people and what people pay, because they're not paying at time of service, and it just gets confusing. So how can I afford it? Look, here's the question. It's not like I can't afford it. It's like, I'm going to figure out how to afford this. I know that these things are right for me. I'm going to figure out how to afford it. If I pay for a $50,000 coaching program, which I have, I'm going to put it on a credit card that gives me a ton of points and a few nights free stay in like a Marriott hotel. And I'm going to pay that sucker down. And I'm going to pay it down with recurring revenue that I generate based on the coaching. I mean, I've done that multiple times. So you might be listening and go, okay, Aaron, enough with that. All right, great. Let me break something down for you. Would it be different if you knew you could make, 6 figures? If you knew you could make 7 figures with your idea, would that be different? If you knew, if I could snap my fingers and all of a sudden you had a 6-figure business, which means you're making $8,400 per month, would that change what's expensive or what's a good investment? Would that change your idea? Like if you were able to go put down $10,000 or $20,000 on a credit card and you knew within the next 30 days you'd make that back before getting any fees and you could pay it off, would you put that amount on a credit card? Would you split that amount among 5? Would you max out 4 or 5 credit cards to make sure that you could do it? Well, one of my coaching clients, I want to give out a shout out to Brandon Smith. He was actually a prior guest on the podcast, but he started working with us, and within a week, actually 5 days, so he started in our Platinum Mastermind program, and then we got on our game plan call, and he was telling me what his goals are and what he wants and what's working and what he's tried that's not working. I said, well, why don't we do this? Let's take the thing that's working and let's relaunch it and raise the price. And then he was like, no, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. I was like, dude, well, do you want to make money or do you want to just work on this thing that, is not we haven't figured out how to get it to work yet? He's like, well, let's, he's like, okay. So I gave him our 5-day launch plan. And the dude went out and crushed it. He made $40,000 in less than a week. He more than doubled the investment he made in his coaching program and in himself and in his business. And he continues to crush it. So, so shout out for Brandon for doing that. And he's not the only one. There are a handful of other people I can think off the top of my head, and I'm not going to tell you all of their stories, who have come in coaching programs that we've run, and we just got to look at like what's going on, what's working, what's not, and make one or two tweaks, one or two ideas, and we can get a massive ROI right away. And then what we can do is go and look at what are the long-term strategies we need to put in. Hey, what's up? It's Aaron. Real quick. If you already own a cash practice, you're already seeing patients, but you've struggled to really hit 5K months, or maybe now you finally quit your job or you got let go and you're ready to go all in and you'd like some help hitting 6 figures or more in the fastest time possible, you might be a great fit for our Cash PT Academy coaching program. In our Cash PT Academy, you'll get access to our extensive training vault, private Facebook community, bi-monthly coaching calls to get all your questions answered, and a personalized game plan every 90 days so you know exactly what to work on and when. If that's you, let's hop on a call, we'll brainstorm some ideas, and we'll make a plan. Just go to callwithaaron.com and book in a time. Or shoot me a message on Instagram with the word Academy, and we'll go from there. Now back to the show. Peace. What is expensive? What does 6 figures really look like? Write this down. Write down $100,000. Isn't that a really big fucking number? Okay, let's write down $1 million. What does that look like? Well, I can tell you, let's start with 100,000. What that looks like is $8,400 per month. Now you might be thinking, damn, Aaron, that's a lot. Okay, our mastermind members regularly go from, $4,000 to $5,000, maybe $6,000 a month when they start to $20,000 months before they even hire their next physical therapist. Julie Lee did the exact thing. It did exactly that. She texted me a message in June. I think May was one of her best months, and she made like $19,000. I think then in July she went and climbed Denali. So I think June she also did, incredibly well, but she was out, and then she came back with a waiting list. And it's like, oh, how do I earn that much? Okay, I need you to think about it like this. So for $8,400 per month, how do we get there? Well, if the average plan of care in like an in-network practice is $1,000, depending on what you charge in a cash practice, it's somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500. For my business, it's $2,000 plus anyone they refer. But so let's just imagine it's $1,500, which is 8 visits at about $187 a visit. All you need is 6 new patients a month to come in and finish a plan of care, and you're making $9,000 a month. Okay, that's 6. That's not even 2 new patients a week. That's like 1.5 patients a week. If you are like, oh, I'm not really going to charge that much, I don't know how to do that, that's another conversation we can have. But let's say your average plan of care is $1,000 like it is a national average. We're talking 9 patients a month. That's just 2 new patients a week. And you're making 6 figures. So 6 figures is not very far away. So if 6 figures is your goal, that's a great goal for your first year. We've had clients come in and just barely hit, miss it. Derek Nielsen made 96,207 in his first year, and he didn't price his services the way I recommended right away, but then eventually got his prices up. Ben Baggy did well over 6 figures his first year. And then by the end of his first year, he was at $22,000 a month. And then Stephanie McMillan is definitely on track for that. She made $10,000 in her first month, and with working 3 days a week and growing. So if you're making $20K a month, then you're at multi 6 figures. You're around the $250,000, $225 mark, which is a great place to be. And as soon as you get there, your schedule gets so full, you can't do the marketing, you can't see all the patients. And really right before you get there, we need to look at hiring the next PT so you can have your time back before it's all gone, so that we can grow and scale and help more people. So what's really possible? So just imagine this. You invest 500, 1,500, 10,000, 20,000 in coaching. And then we go and we add 2 new patients to your business per month. or 2 new course sales at $1,000 per month. Do you think that would be a good investment? Yes. Oh, Aaron, maybe that's not possible for me. Hey, maybe it's not possible for you. But don't let that negative self come and tell you it's not going to work until you actually even try it. Maybe if you're doubting yourself, you're not clear on your goals and your vision and what's possible, or you're having the imposter syndrome. You're like, who am I to be able to help tons of people? Well, who are you to not help tons of people? If you've helped one person, there's billions of people on our planet. There's millions of people in the world, and there are hundreds of millions of people in the United States. If you can help 1, 2, 12, 20, like who are you not to not go out and try to help hundreds of thousands of people? Okay? PT school didn't teach you all this amazing stuff to just go help, 20 people a week or 20 people a day. They taught you this stuff so you could help 20,000 people a week. So what's possible for you if you could do 6 figures? So what about 7? Oh gosh, Aaron, that's a long way away. Yeah, you need to build a team to get to 7 figures generally, whether it's virtual assistants or in person. And that's just $84,000 a month. So how do I do that? Well, if you can do $20,000 a month by yourself, then what we just need are 4 of you, but not of you. We need 4 employees generating the same amount. And we're just at about that 7-figure mark. Oh, I didn't get into this game to own multiple businesses. Well, no worries. You don't need to be. There's a lot of 7-figure businesses out there without a profit margin. It's 7-figure in gross, but no one's taking, the owner's not taking home 100,000. So you have to look at your gross versus your net and your profit and your expenses and what you're investing in and what you're buying that's it's not necessary, because there are some things that are just expensive and there are some things that are great investments. But most people that I interact with who are just getting started business have them mixed up, or they think investments are real estate and stock market. And some people are like, I would never get into the stock market, or they're trying to time the stock market or time the crypto. You're never going to beat the game timing it. You just need to be in the market. And you need to have multiple investments and multiple streams of revenue. Credit cards aren't evil. Credit cards and debt is like, these are things you leverage to get what you want. My recommendation would be not to go into debt on a credit card that you can't pay off. But, I wouldn't go into debt on a credit card for like a new car. But I am going to go to debt on a credit card for coaching and accountability, for software I know that's going to pay off down the road, for images, photos, for photography, for people who believe in our mission. Student loans are not a burden. Let me just tell you this. Student loans are not a burden. I'm going to say this a million times. Everyone's like, oh my God, student loans, student loans, student loans. Okay, great. If your plan is to just be an employee, yeah, they can be a burden because you're not going to earn shit. Or you got to go get a job in healthcare. But if you don't want to own your own clinic, you need to get a side hustle that you can spend, 10 hours a week on, maybe 20 hours a week on. Maybe you have a side hustle and it's on Instagram and you're selling 10% affiliate commissions here and there, and you've got your courses and they're, $10, $20, $30, $40. Okay, great. But you know what? I'm looking at you and going, man, you could sell that for so much more if you just figured out how to write a good sales page and how to create the really good offer, because what you have is valuable. You're just not valuing it. And then your side hustle could be your main hustle, or we could automate your side hustle and you don't need to do as much work with it, and it can bring in double, if not triple or 10x the revenue, and you could pay off your student loans with this automated stream of income that you've worked so hard to build, but that's not working. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to go in and buy a clinic or build a clinic, and you do not have to get a $150,000 loan to start a clinic. You need to invest in your business. You need to invest in yourself, in your knowledge, and in a mentor or a coach or both, if you want to be proficient in business like you are as a physical therapist. And I say that because, or is it proficient? It's like when you graduate from PT school, you are a proficient or like you pass the what's it called? The national exam. You're proficient. Okay. You're not an expert physical therapist, and yet you've just spent $80,000 or $150,000 to be proficient and not dangerous. And most PTs in our industry think you're crazy and dangerous if you go try to treat patients. I've seen people say, I'd never hire a new grad. New grads can't open businesses. They shouldn't. It's unethical. Like, screw them. What I'm saying is you just spent all this money to be proficient as a PT, and you want to own a business, and now you're afraid to invest any more until you pay off this thing. What I can tell you is that if you invest in business, the business knowledge and experience and systems that you're paying for speed, and you're paying for someone else who's figured it out to show you exactly what to do so you can pay off the student loans faster. But you don't put the money directly to student loans. You put the first money in directly to building out the business and systems. And you say, screw the loans, like, especially if you have federal loans. Like, they're some of the best loans to have. I don't care what percentage it is. You invest in your business, you're going to earn a higher percentage return by investing in yourself. So that's all I got to say for right now. I hope you've gotten something out of this. I know it took me a long time to develop this mindset, and part of it is I teach it to others, but I've had to go and listen and share, and I've had to invest in coaches and coaching programs and mastermind groups and put myself around people who are where I want to be. Okay, if you're hanging around people who tell you can't, tell you it's unethical, tell you shouldn't, you need to get away from them and go spend time with the people who are going to support you. And that's what I've done, and that's what it's taken for me to build this like mindset of an entrepreneur, and how to invest wisely, how to choose my expenses, and say, hey, I don't care about that expense. I'm going to spend the money on that, and not be afraid to invest in something when I know going to go all in on it. So what I want you to do is figure out, what do you want? Reverse engineer it. Find the person that has it or it's done it. Go pay them to show you how to do it, because you're only going to get there faster instead of trying to figure it out on your own. It's going to take a lot longer, and you'll probably hit some roadblocks. It's going to take a long time to get around them. And all I can say is, we already know how to slice bread. Just make it better. The wheel has already been invented. Make a better wheel. Don't try to start from scratch, because you are your best investment. Expensive is a state of mind. Change your state of mind, change your state of being, and go out there and help millions of people. And we'll see you guys on the next show. Would really appreciate it if you've gotten anything out of this podcast. If you go over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating and review, screenshot this and share it on Instagram, tag me, and put a little comment with your number one takeaway from the episode. And I would totally appreciate it. We'll reshare it, and I'll see you on the next show. Thanks so much.